Hey guys, welcome back to another tank update. This one's gonna have a good bit of content in it, so I'm sorry it's gonna be a little longer than normal. But right off the bat, we got some new corals from Ron's tank. He's kind enough to give them to me. Just generic polyps and zoas, but this is the first group right here. It's about the size of a fist. It all came on its own rock, which is pretty nice because I just dropped that bad boy in there. We also got a good bit of polyps here. Sorry for the blur on the glass. I haven't cleaned as well down here as I have the rest of the glass, but we've got just more generic polyps and whatnot going on here. So we'll get all this situated on rocks here after I deal with something more important right now, which is this stinking cyanobacteria bloom. So before I get into that topic, there's just a couple more corals I want to show you. They're something that I'm excited about. That leather finger is bouncing back. It used to be white and kind of withered in the back there, but we finally got back, thanks to Ron, a beautiful frog spawn. This one's got 3 heads on it. So happy that we have this back here. And I'm going to start spot feeding my fish, or my corals again. And we got a small hammer. I mean tiny. This was kind of just sectioned off. We were doing a couple fragging for his stuff, and this is, you know, one tiny little thing that managed to be fragged and lives, so we dropped it in my tank. And in the back here we got a couple of, I don't know if they're hammers or frogs. I think they're just frogs, but they're more of generic. I don't think that they're bleached at all, but they kind of look like that on camera. They're not as bad in person. I think they're just a generic, but in short, that covers it for the corals. I'm sure I missed something, but those are the big ones I wanted to hit. So let's go ahead and talk about something that I called out happening a month ago. You can quote me on it. I said when I dose, what's it called, Algaefix in my tank to get rid of green hair algae, cyanobacteria will come. And I only know that because I had a similar issue happen with one of my smaller nano tanks, 5-gallon nano tanks back in the day, and it had a cyanobacteria bloom back afterwards. It went so bad that I just decided to break down the tank and restart it. So I'm not going to do that this time around. I went ahead and ordered some Chemiclean, so that's supposed to treat red cyanobacteria blooms, and it's, you know, some people were reporting a day to 2 days. So I'm going to do a second video in the future, in the near future, on the progress as I dose or after I dose, you know. So we'll see how well that does the trick. Hopefully it does it for me. I know this is 90 gallons. The smallest pack they sell covers about 300 gallons. So if I have to double dose after I do a water change, I can also do that as well. So we'll give it a shot here. I'll keep you guys posted. Till then, what have I done besides order the Chemiclean is a couple things actually. You'll notice that a few of my rocks here are missing. So I went ahead and took out the 2 large pieces of rock that was there. That was more of the dead coral, and the other dead coral, which I just call the Simba rock. And I am actually soaking them right now in bleach water because I just had a about 3 or 4 things that I think could be contributing to my initial green hair algae bloom, or cyanobacteria bloom following that. And that's ultimately just excess nutrients in the water column, in short. So I think either I was overfeeding, which I'm watching the fish now eat, and I'm only feeding as much as the fish need. I added about 20 inverts, 10 snails and 10 crabs to it, which you can kind of see them scattered around now. Before that, I only had about a couple. I added 20 more to whatever, probably only had 5. They just kept dying on me. But I dripped them nice. It looks like everything survived. They're just in the rocks and whatnot. So I know I need 90 to 100 for this 90 gallon, but you know, I just had, man, I probably spent darn near $50 in inverts over the 3 periods of time I've tried to add like crabs and etc., like emerald crabs for example. I went for the more pricey stuff at first, thinking it'd be nice, but it didn't work out. So I went with the cheap stuff, and we'll kind of just add more as time goes by. So what else have I done? I've increased my water change amount. Well, that dude better not be going after that snail. I'm about to smack him off of there. I will cut you, sir. Anywho, I'm now doing 15-gallon water changes instead of 10-gallon water changes. I'm still doing it once a week. In addition, I am siphoning the sand and stirring the sand. This is what's interesting. My last water change was yesterday. When I tell you this sand was darn near clean, I mean it was darn near clean, man, clean. What's today, Monday? I think Monday, yeah. I did this thing Sunday. What, 2 days? I don't even know, man. I don't know what day of the week it is. But, I sacrificed the top layer, in addition to taking the rocks out, I actually sacrificed the top layer of sand on the whole tank. And I threw that in with the chlorine buckets that I have the salt water, or that I have the rock sitting in. I'm putting them in 10% chlorine, or bleach, just diluted bleach in buckets, 5-gallon buckets in the back for a week or 2 weeks or whenever the heck I feel like getting back to them. I didn't use RODI water for that, although some people say to do it with RODI. To me, you know, I don't care. My thing is I gotta kill a bacteria, not necessarily, you know, soak it in a couple things. Who cares? I'm just gonna rinse it out in RODI water if anything, but we'll see how that goes. I'm sure it's gonna be fine. I mean, bleach kills everything. That, you know, the reason I placed them in bleach is because I think the rocks were leaching out as a dead coral. Maybe it had, you know, some old nutrients attached to them from the tank prior to the one that went into mine, and I never really cleaned them out. I mainly just hit them with a pressure washer and let them soak in the sun with like the UV rays from nature, I guess, if you want to say it like that. So hopefully that'll help, but I don't think that was my main issue. I think the main issue was two things. The lack of a cleanup crew, which I already addressed. I added 20. I'll get more in the future. We'll see how this goes. Just don't want to throw in, you know, $60 more on cleanup crew right now or whatever. The other thing is I added circulation. So this guy right here is the one that I used to use. This Wave Maker by Jabo is the one I used to use in my 5-gallon that actually broke on me. And I don't know if it knows now that I needed it now more than ever, that it randomly decided to work when I started using it again, but it started to work, so that's pretty neat. So I dropped that Wave Maker in on the left with the other Wave Maker I've had on the right. And you can tell just by looking at the coral, there is a lot more movement here. In addition, I moved the smaller pump that I took out from my 5-gallon when I broke it down, and I placed it there instead of there to kind of get a more movement of flow. I still have the return nozzle at the same location, and I actually added a hang on the back, which is probably the annoying noise you keep hearing in the background. And this is just a marine land. I think it's rated for 70 gallons or so. I can't remember. It's just been so long since I've had it. But I have 2 carbon filters in there just to add some carbon into the water, you know, hopefully clear that up a bit and make something happen. But I mean, the water column looks really nice. It's just the cyanobacteria bloom now. And the green hair algae is pretty much gone except for the little bit I wasn't able to pick off by the mushrooms. I'm going to leave that there, maybe pick it off again. Hopefully it doesn't come back to bite me in the rear end. But we'll see how the Chemiclean does its trick, you know. Hopefully a day, 2 days max. I'll be able, after I dose, when I get it in the mail, I'll be able to get you guys updated. I also added a water heater, which is this Aqueon rated for 100 gallons. It's actually also the same water heater, or same type of water heater that I tried to add before that just was permanently on, regardless of what I did for its settings. Even though I kind of knew out of the box, which is weird. But I didn't notice, I actually, at the time I bought 2 off a guy, and this was the second one, and this one works fine. I actually have the water up from 72 to, I think, it's close, running closer to 79 now. I like it to be around 75, 76, so I'll just adjust this down, but it's been cutting off and cutting on roughly at the same time as my heaters and my sump down here, so I'm okay with that. I know it's not on, I just need to adjust it. I haven't done the final tweakings to it. But in addition, I also tampered with the lights when I put the hang on the back filter here. The splatter was causing some salt water and some water to get on the lights. So I just cleaned that off, actually raised the whole thing up about 1/2 foot, and I just placed this cover here just to kind of catch the splashes that used to be hitting the lights. So the lights are moved up. I also placed different timers on both the whites and the blues, and these are the Vipar Spectras, just to remind you. Down to like 5, I think, on the whites, 10 on the blues, just something really small. So it looks still pretty strong and lit, but the corals have been behaving a lot better now than they were before with the lighting. So I am changing a lot of things at the same time, so there could be different reasons why the corals are happy one way or another, but my biggest indicator of my tanks, I guess, what tends to not want to open up first before anything else is actually the what is this called, the cherry red blasto here, but it's starting to come back from what it was before. So what else we got here? So I cut the lighting power as well as the length of time. I shaved an hour off the front and an hour off the back, and I added flow, I added the heater, I increased the water changes, and I'm going to be doing the Chemiclean. So that's everything, plus the new corals, the new cleanup crew. So we'll see how this tank looks like. I'm running low on battery, guys, since I've already ran this video long enough. Thanks for tuning in this long if you're still around. I'll keep you posted, hopefully sometime this coming week, about the Chemiclean, and we can maybe do a little review on that. But overall, you know, the Algaefix did its job. I've got no complaints on it. I think, you know, if I were to do it again, I'd probably begin the process of Algaefix with larger water changes to kind of get the excess nutrients out of the water column before I get rid of the green hair algae and allow this cyanobacteria to bloom. Because I always think this life is kind of like a balance, you know, if it's not one thing, it's another thing. And in my tank, it's been, once you fight the green hair algae, something else wants to come out, which is usually the cyanobacteria. So yeah, we'll see. I've been playing with the lights. I've tried stronger, I've tried dimmer. Now we're on the dimmer. We'll see what happens. But this has been, guys, a month since I've been battling this stuff when I last brought you guys an update. So it's not like I just splurted all of this out of my, you know, out of the blue in the last week. So I've been testing, trial and error this stuff for you guys, just kind of sum it up in one video for you. But I'll let you know the end result on how I get rid of this issue, and hopefully we can figure it out here within a month and a half. Thanks for tuning in again, guys. Y'all have a good one. Happy holidays, and I'll see you next time.